Welcome everyone who just joined us. We will be getting started shortly. If in the meantime, you can introduce yourself in the chat box, include your name, the organization or your affiliation, and the state that you reside in. We'll be getting started in about a minute or so. All right, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Nada Sumik and I'm the National Field Manager for We Are All America. We Are All America works to uphold and strengthen our nation's commitment to welcome and protect those who are seeking freedom, safety, and refuge in the United States. We organize people across religious and cultural differences to build inclusive communities where we all belong. Today's webinar is in partnership with We Are All America, Refugee Council USA, Church World Service, UNHCR, and IRA. And the topic we will cover is refugee policy advocacy actions around our upcoming event, World Refugee Day on June 20th. We will hear from the UNHCR office on this year's theme and background, along with our national partners who will be providing highlights and updates on refugee policy. Additionally, participants will learn ways that you all can get involved in your local community events and how you can take advocacy action this year. Now, before we begin, just a couple of housekeeping items. Please be advised that this webinar session is recorded and we will be sharing it among our networks. We will be sharing the recording and the slide deck afterwards. If you have any questions for any of our panelists, we will have someone monitoring the chat box, so you may type your questions anytime throughout the webinar or raise your hand. And we will also have a Q&A at the end of the webinar. So without further ado, to start us off, I'd like to welcome our first guest, Anna White. She's the Head of Strategic Communication, Outreach and Partnerships at the UNHCR. So Anna, I turn it over to you.
Thank you so much. Can you guys hear me? I can't see myself, but can you see me and hear me?
We can hear you. It's a little bit low, Anna, but we can hear you.
Too low? Better?
Much better.
Okay, I'll try it. If not, I will raise my voice. So just let me know. I can't see the chat either, but I'm a bit useless technologically, clearly. But I'll get started. Thank you for having me. I'm going to go very quickly on some of the things that we will be promoting globally on World Refugee Day from UNHCR. As you probably know, in general, UNHCR during World Refugee Day has a theme. We globally push for that theme altogether, trying to ensure that it's also an opportunity to raise awareness globally to many of the key issues confronted refugees and forced displacement globally. So maybe I could start with the next nice. We have been celebrating, I mean, as you know, global World Refugee Day for many years as UNHCR as part of our mandate. But we also have not only now incorporated the theme, but also a way of people to ensure action and I mean things that we could work together towards in the different countries around the world. So the idea is to have a theme that it could be utilized with our colleagues everywhere in the world, but that bring us together globally. And for that, we create not only the theme and the package, but also a website and social media packages that people could actually utilize. And we share them with partners as they relate also to specific campaigns that are happening in each of the countries around the world. So just this for you to know, this same theme and actions and packages that we'll share with you will be shared with our colleagues throughout the world in the same way, trying to bring us all together. So maybe the next one. Okay, perfect. So this year, this is the theme, Hope Away from Home. A world where refugees are always included. The Home Away from Home is the big kind of theme tagline that we will have for 2023 World Refugee Day. You will see it in all our websites and all our social media packages. And maybe the next one. Just to kind of break down a bit more, the Home Away from Home looks at to bring attention to both solutions for refugees and the power of inclusion, and the importance that has to do in terms of our advocacy and our awareness raising into both finding solutions for refugees that highlight the importance of inclusion of refugees. And this is broadly taken in terms of inclusion to education, to health, work. So there could be opportunities as we work towards long-lasting solutions for forcibly displaced. So that's the big theme. And you'll see in the next one, maybe next, because the theme, which could be relatable to all our work around the world, has as a theme 2 objectives: to be able to showcase how we could do more collectively the world to include refugees, and where we have good practices, good ideas, and how we could better promote it, and how to be better communicate on the solutions aspect that I was saying, particularly as we see record displacement, more emergencies, but not necessary solutions for some of our protracted refugee situation. And this has a link between World Refugee Day for us and the Global Refugee Forum, which will take place in December of this year. This will be for UNHCR the second Refugee Forum. The Refugee Forum, for those who might not know, is the more practical, actionable expressions of the Global Compact of Refugees, which was approved by the General Assembly of the UN. And our first Global Refugee Forum was in 2019, where not only member states, but different actors, including refugee-led organizations, NGOs, private sector, came together to do tangible pledges towards the objective of the Global Compact for Refugees. So this year we will have an opportunity at the end of the year to have a second Global Refugee Forum, and we will try at that stage to do 2 things: stock taking of all the things that we were able to accomplish since the first GRF in terms of pledges and accomplishment, but also the possibility of gathering new pledges. Many of our organizations are already involved at the global level on this. So there is a link between, yes, what is happening with Refugee Day, but also looking at our objectives by the end of the year at GRF. Maybe the next one. So the GRF not only has the Global Refugee theme is not only the theme that I just mentioned. It has 3 aspects of it. That is the call to action, that we have put opportunities to give, create, and advocate, and some ideas of within the theme that UNHCR is promoting this year, what partners and people could do to support these 3 areas. So in the case of GIF, maybe get to next. Because we are highlighting, of course, inclusion, one of the possibilities that we have highlighted in terms of GIF is the Aiming Higher Scholarship Fund. As I was saying, we were talking also in inclusion in a broad term of inclusion, and this includes access to education. The Aiming Higher Scholarship Fund provide access to higher education for refugees. It is a really great initiative. So one of the things that we're highlighting in the GIF is opportunities to share content of it, provide, raise funds for it, or give a platform to young refugee students. So that's one of the areas in terms of GIF that UNHCR will be highlighting in World Refugee Day. Next. Oh, this is the Aiming Higher website. We could share it. I mean, you will be able to have access to it, where you could find out a lot more about the fund. Create, this is another activity that we will promote it. This is a joint UNHCR and UNICLO project. This is the 3rd edition, is for focusing youth in refugee art contests. So young artists, anybody that is interested, could, ages 10 to 30 though, so it's for younger people, to submit a design or drawing under the theme that this year we're promoting. Those who actually be winning will be printed in t-shirts that will be sold by Uniqlo in support of refugees, also for refugees awareness. That's another project that we are promoting globally under the same theme. And next. Advocate. Of course, we will continue to promote and throughout the week, not just that day, because we will be using the entire week to amplify content messages, stories that talk about both things, the power that inclusion has and solutions for refugees. And in the actual package, we will have additional messages and things people could use, including the things that we will be putting forward as UNHCR globally, but also in the US. Some of the hashtags that will be, of course, used is those three that you see there. Next. Just to highlight that throughout, we are promoting all sorts of activities from different actors to join World Refugee Day. This is from private sectors to cities to faith groups. You are all familiar. This is a very important opportunity to ensure that we engage different actors in awareness raising, advocacy, engagement, as we put out there some of the ideas we will be promoting from UNHCR. Maybe next. We have a lot of other different things that are also happening around World Refugee Day. We will have a program, but a project as we do with Uniqlo. This is with YouTube. We'll be partnering with them and some YouTube creators that will be doing some short documentary videos that will be released on June 20th. These are between YouTube creators connected with refugees, creating content together that will be pushed through the channels of the YouTube creators, and we will be also promoting in UNHCR. And also, as many of you know, we usually issue the Global Trends Report around World Refugee Day. This is our global report that includes statistics on the status of global displacement in the world. This year it will be issued on Tuesday, June 14th. It will be, of course, available on our website and through our social media channels. It will provide a lot of important information and data that you guys could also use in your messaging the next week on World Refugee Day. That gives really a sense of the status of global displacement, which I think it could be quite helpful, particularly if you think about messaging and advocacy. Next. Promise I'll finish. So a few of things that we're doing here also in DC and the US. World Refugee Day, we have a partnership with the Kennedy Center. We will be doing a concert. If you guys are in DC, you're welcome to come. It's free. You just need to get the tickets and reservations into Kennedy Center website. These are two artists that are Syrian refugees from Aleppo. They will be performing that day, and they have also a very powerful story. So they will be at the Kennedy Center, and it will be also shown online for those that are not in DC. Next. That same day, we'll be doing a screening of The Swimmers. I hope you guys have seen it on Netflix. If not, I do recommend it. It's the story of two sisters, Sarah and Yusra Mardini. It's a very powerful story, and I think a really good movie in terms of showcasing also the situation of Syrian refugees after 12 years of war. So I think that it brings attention to one of the situations of displacement. When we were talking about solutions, it's quite interesting to be talking about this 12 years later. It will be actually showcased at the Kennedy Center after that night. It's open to everybody. You don't need tickets. So you could come and watch it with families, friends, if you are around DC area. Next. This is External Toolkit. We will share it so you guys could get everything I said. And next. Oh, and before I forget, in addition to that, we will be doing quite a bit of content and things out there from the US. I want to say that with Refugee Congress, we have worked with one of the refugee delegates from Louisiana who is writing a thought piece that we'll be promoting from the US, and it will be promoted globally too. I think it's great to have pieces that are like that. It's a thought piece written by him, so we will be promoting his message throughout that day. We will be also issuing a story that day about different cities in the US that have taken good positive steps in terms of inclusion and being welcoming, including quoting mayors of different cities to showcase the importance of the involvement of local governments in terms of welcoming refugees. So I will stop there. We will share the website too with colleagues here, so you guys could go look at the website and the other things that you could utilize in terms of resources that might be helpful in your events. And I hope I did okay on timing.
Yes, thank you so much, Anna. I know that you have to hop off, but a real quick question that came in through our chat box. Someone asked, when will the Youth with Refugees Art Contest be launched, and what should we look for? Do you want to answer that real quick?
Yes, we will be sending, it will be on the website where it says, if you go to UNHCR website, it says get involved, there will be there will be a youth art contest tab, because that's where we have it before, and you'll be able to sign up. We'll share everybody as soon as that is uploaded, because I think it's a great opportunity to promote for youth that are interested in arts or design or creations, and they might want to actually sign up. It's a really great contest. It will be there, but we will share it as soon as it's up, okay?
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Anna, for being with us and sharing this really useful information. We're going to continue to move ahead to our next speaker. So I'd like to welcome our Emily Wood, who is the Program Associate with Refugee Council USA. She's going to be providing us updates on policy and a couple other things. So Emily, I pass it over to you.
Great, thank you so much. And thanks, Anna, about all of those events in DC. I'm looking forward to attending. But great, thank you so much, everybody. It's wonderful being here. My name is Emily Wood, and I am the Program Associate with Refugee Council USA. For those of you who might not know, RCUSA is a coalition made up of 32 member organizations that advocate to protect the rights of forcibly displaced people and build more welcoming societies. So if we'd like to go to the next slide, I can hop in with a bird's eye view of humanitarian protection in the US. There have been some big developments in US policy that I'd like to share with you. So 2 years into the Biden administration, we've seen the US resettlement program slowly increase from its shrunken capacity from the Trump presidency. The Biden administration set a refugee admissions goal for fiscal year 2023 at 125,000. Halfway through the fiscal year, as of April 30th, the U.S. has resettled 24,823 refugees. The fiscal year ends on September 30th, and the State Department's Bureau of Population, Refugees and Migration, or PRM, estimates that they are on track to resettle approximately 65,000 refugees this fiscal year. This number is still falling short of that 125,000 goal. Next, Title 42, the Trump-era policy, which expelled migrants at the border under the guise of a public health policy, finally expired. However, the administration has instituted new policies for southern border operations that continue to restrict individuals and families seeking asylum access to their legal rights of protection. Circumvention of legal pathways rule, or the asylum ban, will have the effect of disqualifying most people from seeking asylum at the U.S.-Mexico border. This violates U.S. law and international law by denying access to asylum and returns refugees to their countries of persecution or transit countries where they could face further violence. It's important to note that these rules disproportionately harm Black, Brown, and Indigenous asylum seekers. Additionally, the U.S. continues to operate humanitarian parole programs for Ukrainians, Cubans, Haitians, Venezuelans, and Nicaraguans. And last, the administration announced the launch of new regional processing centers across Central America to screen migrants for legal immigration pathways prior to arrival at the U.S. border. RCUSA appreciates this investment in the U.S. refugee admissions program as a critical tool to offer permanent protection, yet firmly rejects the ties that this program has to the new asylum rule. So next, if we want to go to the next slide, we can hop into our CSA policy priorities for Congress. They are as follows. First, conduct oversight of the administration's operations of the U.S. Refugee Admissions Program, or USRAP. While the Biden administration has promised to restore the U.S. resettlement program, follow-through has been slow. Congress can help to make sure that benchmarks are met. Second, support robust fiscal year 2024 federal funding for refugees and other displaced people. Rebuilding international and domestic infrastructure does take ongoing investment from Congress. Third, support positive legislation to strengthen USRAP. Examples of this legislation can include the Afghan Adjustment Act, the Refugee Protection Act, the GRACE Act, the Liberty Act, New Deal for New Americans Act, Asylum Seeker Work Authorization Act, the Dignity for Detained Immigrants Act, and others. Fourth, restore humanitarian and asylum protections. The administration has shown that a primary goal of their policy is to maintain blocks to accessing legal rights to seek protection. So Congress must act to ensure the restoration and protection of these rights. Fifth, protect stateless people in the United States. There is an estimated 200,000 stateless people in the US, meaning people who have no recognized citizenship in any country. Congress must protect stateless people from immigration, detention, and deportation, and provide a pathway to documentation. And last but not least, establish protections for people displaced by the effects of climate change. Climate change has already begun to displace people internally and internationally, and will only increase in the years to come. Congress must act to provide a clear pathway to protection for those who are and will be displaced by climate change. So after this, you might be wondering how you can take action on World Refugee Day. So if we go to the next slide, Refugee Council USA and many of our member organizations will be providing easy action alerts for individuals to reach out to their federal, state, and local representatives in support of refugees and humanitarian protection. So please stay tuned to our CSA's social media for upcoming details about this action alert. We will be sharing on, Instagram, Twitter, all of that fun stuff. World Refugee Day provides a powerful opportunity both to celebrate refugees in our communities while highlighting why welcoming refugees is an essential U.S. value. So thank you so much, and I believe I'll pass it back to Nejra.
Thank you so much, Emily, for providing that oversight of policies going on and ways people can get involved. For our next speaker, I'd like to introduce Lacey Bromell. She's the policy analyst at IRAP, and Lacey's going to be sharing with us a little bit about an amazing campaign that recently was launched for World Refugee Day, the Family Reunification Campaign. Lacey, I turn it over to you.
Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. My name's Lacey Bromell, and I'm a policy analyst at the International Refugee Assistance Project, also known as IRAP. I'm excited to talk to you today about a campaign on refugee family reunification called How Many More Years that IRAP, Church World Service, Refugee Congress, and We Are All America are conducting throughout the month of June and culminating on World Refugee Day. This campaign will include stories from refugee families, a press call, op-eds, an organizational sign-on letter, and a grassroots campaign. The primary goals include holding the Biden administration accountable to its promises to improve family reunification, creating awareness of the scale and impact of family reunification, and pointing out the connections between anti-Black and anti-Muslim racism and the disproportionate impact of family separation on Black, Brown, and Muslim displaced families. In the next slide, I'd like to start by giving some background on refugee family reunification pathways. Family reunification is a historical cornerstone of the U.S. immigration policy and practice. It's enshrined in the Immigration and Nationality Act as a priority for a pathway to the United States. Access to reunification pathways is especially essential, as many of you know, for refugee families, who often during a chaotic journey to safety are displaced or separated from loved ones. Refugees and asylees who are already in the United States may reunite with their spouses and children and some other family members, depending on the pathway, through several different pathways that are here on the screen. These processes include the follow to join or FTJ process for refugees and asylees, the priority 3 family reunification for refugees, the Iraqi Syrian I-130 priority 2 direct access program, and the Central American Minors Program. I want to really emphasize here that while available in theory, in practice, these pathways have been stalled for the majority of applicants, which leaves families separated for many, many years, often not knowing the status of their case or when they will be reunited. When he first came into office, President Biden made a promise to welcome refugees and issued an executive order on refugees that clearly stated, quote, reunifying families is in the national interest, end quote. However, 2 years into his administration, as I said, the vast majority of refugee families are still waiting to be reunited. Next slide, please. And unfortunately, many of these wait times have only increased in recent years. So these are the challenges of the family reunification programs on your screen. So of course, I think the most important thing and kind of like the salient fact here is that reunification programs are too slow. The systems built to process people are understaffed, and there's a lot of bureaucratic red tape that delay cases even further and add people to the backlogs. Of course, since the Trump Muslim ban, there have been unfair and higher standards in place for Muslim families, and many LGBTQIA couples and their families also face unfair burdens. And most importantly, separation takes an emotional and economic toll on families and communities. On the slide here on the screen, you'll see a picture of one of IRAP's clients' family. His name is Raj. He is a refugee from Sri Lanka, and this is a photo of his wife and his children who have been waiting to reunite with him here in Texas for 9 years. 9 years. If you look closely at this photo, you'll see that it's a birthday celebration and that Raj is only able to attend via video call. In his wife's hand, you can see him on video screen there. Stories like Raj's family really show the pain of being separated. And it also makes clear that it really doesn't have to be this way. It shouldn't take 9 years for a refugee to be reunited with their family. And while they live in danger and in fear every day, and wondering when they're going to be reunited. So next slide, please. This is why we are hosting this campaign, is to bring attention to stories like Raj's family and to urge the administration to take action. So we invite you to take part in the How Many More Years campaign to urge President Biden to speed up refugee family reunification and frankly, to bring some noise to make some noise to bring attention to this really important issue. So we have 3 ways that you can get involved in this campaign. First, we're collecting signatories till June 13th on an organizational sign-on letter that we're going to be sending the president and other members of the administration on World Refugee Day. And this letter is open for local, state, and national organizations who can sign on. And I will put in the chat a link to this. I'm sorry, I realized it's not on the screen, so I'll add that in just a second. The other ways that you can get involved include by going to the campaign website, which you can go to bit.ly/how-many-more-years to send a message to President Biden to say that you support welcoming refugee families. So this is part of our grassroots campaign that we're going to try to get as many people as possible to send that message. And then third, if you've been personally impacted by long delays in family reunification, we would love to uplift your story as a part of the How Many More Years advocacy campaign. So you can submit your story by going to that main campaign page, which is here on the screen, the bit.ly/how many more years. So this is the main thing that we ask for you to do right now. I'm going to put in the chat the link to the organizational sign-on letter. Again, we welcome state, local, and national organizations to sign on here. With that, I will turn it back, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Lacey. Now we're going to shift it over to talk a little bit about opportunities, how you all can get engaged more at the local community level. So we have some tools and resources for you all. So I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Andres Bautista, who's our digital communication specialist with Real America, who's going to share some tools and resources with you all. So Andres, I pass it over to you.
Hi, everyone. Nice to see everyone here. I'm going to walk everyone through this year's Real America's World Refugee Day 2023 Advocacy Toolkit. So this toolkit is focused on ways that you can take action in your communities, starting now all the way up until World Refugee Day. So as you can see, this is the direct toolkit. We will be sharing it in the chat as well, and we'll be sharing it in the follow-up notes. So what are some ways that you can take action? We have 5 ways that folks can take action. The first one is by supporting and welcoming resolutions. So this is by asking your state and local policymakers to pass refugee welcome resolutions in June. We actually have a draft available. So if you need any help or assistance with having a resolution pass, feel free to take a look of the draft that we have sampled here. Another way is to invite your local elected officials to World Refugee Day events or by scheduling a meeting with them. If you need any assistance with reaching out to your elected officials, feel free to use our sample email. It has all the information that you need in order to reach out to your electeds. Third, we also have a social media toolkit with captions and graphics that you can tag and encourage your elected officials also to post on social media. We have one for electeds and also one for advocates that folks can use, and that is also linked in the toolkit. Fourth is by supporting pieces of legislation. This can be by hosting a World Refugee Day event with an advocacy lens, or also inviting media. And you can do so by having a media advisory, which we also have linked on there. If this is your first time organizing a World Refugee Day event with an advocacy lens, we will be including a workshop that just passed, but there's a recording available that you can watch to get some more background information. And we also have an op-ed template available if you want to create an op-ed around a piece of legislation that's coming up, such as the Afghan Adjustment Act that you want to bring more attention to. And then lastly, we also have the option of submitting a World Refugee Day event to our map. So going a little bit further into detail about that, any organization can submit their event. You go on the map and we have a Google form available on there. I will be sharing what the map looks like shortly. And yeah, so any type of event that's happening locally, nationwide, you can submit it on there and we will be uploading it. We'll be uplifting it. Folks can go onto our website, see the events that are going on and join one of the events. So as mentioned, this is what the social media toolkit looks like for the electeds. We have it on there as well. If you want to use some of these graphics, there's also a Canva template available. That way you can put any logos of your organization, and we have some hashtags that are also suggested. And of course, we always suggest using the UNHCR's toolkit and keep an eye out for the IRAP toolkit as well. That's going to be coming out, so incorporating some of those in there as well. And as mentioned, we have additional resources available. As resources start coming up, we'll be updating it on this slide here. We'll be adding any additional toolkits, any other information on here. And as I mentioned earlier, this is what the World Refugee Day map looks like. This is what the website looks like. So you can go on there, submit on the Google form, and I will be periodically uploading the events. As you can already see, we have several events across the country, and it looks really great. All the events that you can join in, and your event can also go on there. We will also be sharing it on social media, and I'll be also sharing some of them on email blast. So if you have an event and you really want to bring some traction, this is a good way to get involved. And then I'll pass it on back to Nada.
Thank you so much, Andres. If you can put the link in for our World Refugee Day map, and we really encourage you to please input your event so we can be able to uplift it for you all and see all of the events happening around the world. So that being said, we're going to go ahead and open it up for Q&A. I think there was a question if there was, for Emily, if there's specific legislation that you're promoting to restore humanitarian and asylum protections. Emily, do you want to answer that?
Definitely. I know I had listed several, but if we want to focus on just three, one of them is the Afghan Adjustment Act, or the AAA. And this is an urgently needed bill which would allow evacuated and relocated Afghans that arrived with humanitarian parole, which is a temporary status, to have the opportunity to apply to become lawful permanent residents. So that's the first one. A second one I would say is the Refugee Protection Act, or the RPA, which would restore and strengthen the refugee resettlement program and asylum protections. And third would be the New Deal for New Americans Act, or the NDNA, which promotes the inclusion and integration of refugees and immigrants by establishing new national programs to assist with English language learning, job training, legal services, access to citizenship, and more. This bill also sets a minimum annual refugee admissions goal of 125,000.
Thank you, Emily. Lacey, there was a question about if you're able to send the link for the How Many More Years campaign.
Yes, I realized I was sending it to the wrong folks. So yeah, let me put that in the chat, and you'll see the link for, I'm going to share the link to the sign-on form, or you know what? I actually can't share to all guests. So maybe if I think one of you as the host could share it, that would be wonderful. I've chatted it to the hosts and panelists.
Great. Andres, if you can put it in the chat box for everyone. Okay, a couple more questions coming in. Is there a World Refugee Day awareness color? Our city hall lights can be lit in specific colors to accompany awareness events. Does anyone want to answer that?
I love that question. That would be amazing. I don't know that there is any official color. Sadly. Yeah, I don't think that there is one unless somebody else knows otherwise.
Yeah, I'm not aware of one either. Another question was, wasn't Vice President Kamala Harris assigned to revamp RIM policies and programs? Has her office released any progress on this work? Does anyone want to try to answer that?
I'm not sure. Could you clarify what RIM policies? Is that like refugees, immigration, I'm sorry, I'm not sure.
I think that question came from Leslie. So do you want to just clarify that? And we're happy to try to answer. Any other questions? Feel free to put them in the chat box. Refugee, immigrant, migrant.
Got it. Thank you, Leslie. I'm happy to take a first go at that. Yes, I do believe that, especially, or more specifically, that Vice President Harris was tasked with looking at migration from Central America. And of course, there have been lots of changes recently in relation to the expanded planned processing for refugees from Latin America and Caribbean areas. This was announced at I believe the end of April, and we haven't quite seen any changes or official processing yet. But what we know is that there likely will be extended numbers of refugees who are able to be processed through regional processing centers that are going to be established in Colombia and in Guatemala at first, and then the goal is to expand those to many different places. That's about all we know for now, and I don't know that we've seen much else in terms of like lately policies. But it's a good question, and I know that she certainly also, I think, has done a lot of work in country and working on like economic engagement and business kind of development within countries so that people have opportunity and are able to stay there safely if they'd like.
Thanks, Lacey. Any other final questions? If you want to put it in the Q&A box. Okay, if there are no additional questions, then we're going to go ahead and conclude our webinar for today. I just want to thank everyone for joining us, and a special thank you to all of our speakers for the valuable information you provided. We will be sending the slide deck and the recording later in the week to all the registered participants. Thank you, everyone, and that concludes our webinar. Have a great week.
Thanks.